It was the night I never thought I'd experience, a night that completely changed the course of my life. I never imagined that one seemingly simple moment would lead to such a whirlwind of emotions, but here I am, sharing this story with you, one that I've kept hidden for far too long. And it all began on my 64th birthday, the day I thought would be just another quiet evening, spent alone. But oh, how wrong I was. Edward, his name alone brings a rush of memories and emotions I'd rather not revisit. He was Jonathan's stepson, 28 now, with the world at his feet. Confident, driven, and undeniably captivating, he had a way of drawing me in that I couldn't resist, even if I tried. I had tried to forget about him after Jonathan passed away. He'd stopped visiting, leaving me with nothing but the silence of the house and memories I didn't know how to escape. 2 years had passed without a word from Edward. I convinced myself I was okay, that I had moved on from the memories we shared, both innocent and not so innocent. But when he knocked on my door that day, I knew instantly that I wasn't prepared for what was about to unfold. He said he needed to check the garage for some documents. The moment he walked in, though, I could tell he hadn't come just for that. It wasn't just the papers he was carrying, it was the way he looked at me. The same look he used to give me. The one that made my heart race in ways I didn't want to acknowledge. But there was something else. There, in the middle of the garage, was the gramophone I had always wanted. The one I'd mentioned years ago to Jonathan. The one I thought I'd never get. And there it was, with my favorite record spinning on it, filling the room with the hauntingly familiar melody. In that moment, I knew. This wasn't just about papers. This was about something far bigger than either of us. Edward left without saying much that day, but that evening he came back. A cake in hand and that same smile on his face, only this time there was something more behind it. "I didn't want you to spend your 64th birthday alone," he said, and I knew. This was not just a friendly visit. This was something more. I opened the door to find him standing there, dressed in a sharp suit, holding a small cake. His smile was the same, but it was deeper now, more meaningful. The years had changed him. The boy I once knew was now a man, and I could feel every ounce of his maturity, his energy, pulling me in. "Happy birthday, Bella," he said softly, his voice smooth, warm, and filling the entire doorway. I didn't know what to say. I hadn't expected this. I had expected another quiet evening. But here he was, standing in front of me, making me feel like I mattered. "I didn't want you to turn 64 alone," he added, his smile never fading. "Tonight should be special." I stood there, stunned. What was this? I wanted to protest, to say something, but the words didn't come. Edward placed the cake on the coffee table, then stepped closer to me. "Bella," he said, his eyes never leaving mine. "Tonight could be so much more. Let's celebrate it properly. Put on something nice. Let's make this night unforgettable." At first I thought about refusing, but something in the way he looked at me made it impossible to say no. I nodded silently and walked upstairs, my mind spinning. I couldn't deny the strange excitement that surged through me. As I opened my wardrobe, my eyes fell on a black dress I hadn't worn in years. It was a dress I used to wear to special occasions, before everything changed. I ran my fingers over the fabric and stood before the mirror. As I slipped it on, I couldn't help but smile. Despite my age, I still felt beautiful. The reflection that stared back at me was different than I remembered, stronger, more confident. Maybe, just maybe, I hadn't lost everything after all. When I descended the stairs, the sound of a familiar melody filled the air. It was my favorite song. How did he know? I never told him. Confused but intrigued, I walked toward the living room where Edward had set up the gramophone. The music was soft, soothing. And there, in the middle of the room, he stood, watching me with a smile that spoke volumes. "How did you know?" I asked, unable to hide my surprise. Edward smiled, his eyes intense. "I listened to you, Bella. You probably thought you were the one always listening to me, but in truth, I heard everything you said. Every little detail, every passion you shared. I've never forgotten." It had been so long since I had felt truly seen, truly heard. Edward's words sent a warmth through me that I couldn't ignore. He reached out his hand to me. "Let tonight be all about you," he said softly. "Let me make you feel special." We sat down and began talking. But this wasn't any ordinary conversation. There was something charged in the air, something we both tried to suppress for so long. But the feelings we'd buried deep inside us had never really gone away. They had only grown stronger with time, and now they were impossible to ignore. Edward looked at me, his gaze serious. "Do you know why I didn't come back before?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. I looked into his eyes, trying to decipher his words. He paused for a moment before speaking again, his voice lower this time. "I've always been drawn to you, Bella, from the very first moment I saw you. But what I felt, it scared me. I knew it was wrong, but my heart couldn't let you go." His confession hit me like a wave, stirring emotions I thought I had buried. I had always known that there was something between us, something more than just friendship. But hearing him admit it out loud shook me to my core. "Edward, we can't," I began, but he interrupted me, his gaze unwavering. "I know," he said, his voice thick with determination, "but I can't hold it in anymore. For 2 years, I've thought about nothing but you. Your eyes, your smile, your everything. You've haunted me." I swallowed hard, feeling the pulse of desire that grew with every word he spoke. "This isn't right," I whispered, but the doubt in my voice betrayed me. Because I knew deep down we both felt it. The connection was undeniable. Edward leaned in closer, his voice quiet but firm. "Right or wrong," he said, "I can't deny what I feel, and neither can you. Look at me, Bella. You know this connection is real." His words left me breathless, and for a moment I was paralyzed by the intensity of it all. But deep down, I knew he was right. This pull between us had always been there, something we both tried to ignore, but now it was impossible to deny. "Thank you for not leaving me alone," I whispered, my voice tight with emotion. But even as I said it, I knew this was dangerous. If we went any further, there would be no turning back. Edward reached for my hand, his fingers gently brushing against mine. "I don't want to turn back, Bella," he said softly. "I just want to live in this moment with you, to show you how much you mean to me." And in that moment, I knew that nothing would ever be the same. The feelings, the pull, the connection, it was all too strong. If this story touched you, if you felt the weight of these emotions, then I invite you to join me on this journey. Hit that follow button, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. There's so much more to this story, and trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.